Chapter 14 Fear, Lypye's Perspective. When we got home, I sent Kelly upstairs and sat Jasmine down on the couch. The theory is going to talk to Christopher into letting you keep your job. She nodded. Thanks. I sighed. Please, just talk to me. What's going on? She clenched her fists and stayed silent for a while. Why do you think there's a problem? You're trying to claim that this is the real you, but I can tell that it's not. You would never hurt your daughter. You would never physically lash out at a customer. You certainly wouldn't use your powers in public. I crossed my arms. And your personality completely switched after the walk you took. You're not around me enough to make that statement. She snapped. And whose fault is that? I yelled. I was choosing work over home to support my daughter. You would leave to help the Syara team when I was home. It's both our faults, she stated. I shrugged in agreement. We had a rocky start when we first met, but we eventually became friends. Sisters, even. Recently, it feels like we're drifting apart. She sighed. Guess we don't see eye to eye anymore. But I also think you're afraid of a few things. Explain. You're afraid of me going to jail, she pointed out. But the biggest one, I think, that you're afraid of is that I might become exactly like you used to be. Of course I'm afraid of that, I exclaimed, jumping up. Remembering Kelly upstairs, I lowered my voice. You scared Pantheria today. She now believes that you might be the super immortal. I am the super immortal, she said calmly, standing up and turning to come face to face with me. And you know that. I stared at her, shocked. How did she find out? Something deep down inside me knew that she knew, but I refused to believe it. I overheard you and Kate Cohn talking. I also took note of the way you looked at me after that conversation. She crossed her arms, smirking. You're afraid of me. I clenched my fists. I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of who you might become. Please. She gave me a chilling laugh. If you didn't know I was a super immortal, change personality or not, you wouldn't be afraid. I started. She's partially right. I would still be worried about your personality change. It was 9 years ago. You know what I think? The gods tend to act upon their own fears, right? That's why they banished you. That's why they wanted Kelly dead. What if they just locked up the other supermodels because they were too afraid of something more powerful than them? She asked. No! I blurted out. The supermodels were driven mad with power and crushed everything in their path. Mom had to use a spell to lock them up for good. A thought seemed to pass through her mind. A spell. She backed up a little. I could use a reversal spell to release the supermodels and prove you wrong. I grabbed her wrist. No! Just trust me on this. You know I don't typically agree with the gods. I do on this one. I'm taking a huge risk by not reporting you, but you're my sister. She ripped her wrist out of my hand. I will warn you, though, if you try anything that could potentially put Garth in danger, I will be forced to tell someone. Fine, I won't do anything, she sighed. But I am going to go for a walk. Whoa, wait a sec. You just got out of jail. I can't let you do that, I told her. Just try and stop me, she crumbled, storming out the door. I knew I was making a mistake by not telling the Syara team about Jasmine, especially after that conversation. At the same time, though, I wasn't going to continue to stand on the side and let this continue completely unchecked. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Hey, could you come over to the house? 40 minutes passed before I heard a knock on the door. Opening the door, I saw Nicholas standing on the other side. His slightly long brown hair was a windblown mess. He was also wearing a black tank top, black jean shorts, black sneakers, black socks, and black gloves that went up to his elbows. I invited him in, and we stayed in the kitchen, trying to stay out of Kelly's earshot.
What's this about?
He asked. I took a deep breath. I was trying hard not to panic, but that didn't last long. Kikon is Jazz's father. She's a super immortal, and she found out. Her personality has changed. She's starting physical fights, and she hurt Kelly, and I can't tell a single god because they would panic. She won't listen to me, so I was hoping you could talk to her. I looked up at his shocked expression.
Who else knows?
No one. The gods are already in a panic after finding out that the invisible huntress is a supermodel. He paused.
Do you think that Jasmine might be the invisible huntress? Similar hair.
Different eye color, I pointed out. Besides, the invisible huntress has been around for 3 years. Jazz didn't know she was a supermodel until a couple weeks ago.
So it's just a coincidence you made her first appearance a few hours after Kelly's trial?
He pointed out, look, I'll look into it and prove you wrong. Right now, I really need you to talk to Jazz. We heard a creak on the steps right before Kelly ran into the kitchen. She went to grab her stepladder, but stopped to look at Nicholas and I. She gasped, Uncle Nick! She ran over and hugged him tightly. He chuckled.
Hey kiddo, how have you been?
He pushed her off lightly and touched her bruised arm.
What happened here?
Kelly moved her arm away. Mommy accidentally grabbed my arm too tight, she told him. Jazz was angry with me and pulled Kelly away from me, I admitted. Promise me that you'll talk to her? He nodded.
I will.
And you? I crossed my arms and directed my attention to Kelly. Thought I asked you to stay in your room and watch videos on your tablet until I got you. She looked down at the ground. I know. I just wanted some water. I sighed and put some water into a sippy cup, then handed it to her. Sorry, sweetie. I was so worried about your mommy that I forgot. Tell you what, Nicholas and I are pretty much done talking. Go to your playroom. I'll be there in a minute. Really? She beamed, smiling. Okay. She ran out the kitchen. I didn't speak again until I heard the door close. Thank you again. He shrugged.
She's my sister too. I need to knock some sense into her.
Chapter 15. Mysteries. Jasmine's perspective. Why did I tell her? I looked at my hands. I need to watch my strength around Kelly. I'm not the bad guy. I held my hand out, growing a vine until I reached an area I could sit on in a tree. I climbed onto the tree, then made the vine disappear. The woods I was in was about a 30-minute walk from the house. They were off of the highway leading to the city. I haven't been here in a long time.
This isn't the first place I'd expect to find you.
I heard someone yell after about an hour of silence. Looking down, I noticed Nicholas looking up at me. He climbed up the tree until he was sitting next to me.
Then again, a place from your childhood can be comforting.
I sighed. What do you want?
To talk.
He responded.
Lypye told me everything.
I gasped. Everything?
If anyone is to be trusted with a secret, it's me. The only reason I said anything about you being pregnant was because your life was in danger.
He pointed out.
Lypye is worried about you.
Why? Does she think I'm going to lose control at any minute? I asked defensively.
No. Well, maybe.
He sighed.
You hurt your daughter. You started a physical fight. Does that sound like you?
He asked. I shrugged. Am I not allowed to change?
Usually someone changes to better themselves.
He responded.
Power can corrupt even the purest of minds, especially when they've always felt weaker than those around them.
I won't become evil, I snapped.
As long as you use them responsibly.
He said, worried.
And don't turn out like the other super immortals.
I jumped down from the tree. Nicholas followed suit. How do you know what they were like? You weren't around then, I pointed out.
Neither were you.
He pointed out.
Besides, I've talked to someone who was around the last time they were released.
That was nearly 20,000 years ago. I crossed my arms. Was it a god? He shook his head. An immortal? He nodded.
Syara.
I burst out laughing. And you got out unscathed? No fucking way.
It's hard to explain, but I did. She's not as heartless as you might think. Listen, you don't want the supermodels out.
Even if you did, Kim would have been around 3 years old in god years, I told him. Gods and immortals age a lot slower due to time moving a lot slower for them. One god year is around 333 and a third mortal years. Once a god is 7,000 years old, or 21 in god years, they stop aging forever.
The fact that you would remember it in full detail at such a young age proves how traumatizing it was.
He told me. Fine, I'll go get the spell from the god world and prove to you that the supermodels aren't bad, I threw at him.
Don't you dare, Jazz. You'd be destroying Karth.
That's enough, Nicholas, I mumbled, raising my hand as a warning.
Not to mention that it's treason.
He pointed out. Enough! I yelled, accidentally shooting a black power blast at him. Hitting him in the chest, the impact took him off his feet, throwing him into a tree branch behind him. As he fell to the ground, his right glove caught on the tree branch, ripping it. He let out a loud sigh, then started laughing maniacally, standing up. I glanced at the hole in his glove and noticed the letter R tattooed on his arm. "When did you get a tattoo?" I asked.
Guess the cat's out of the bag.
He smirked and pulled off his gloves. On his right arm was the tattoo of the words "I am," and on the left was a tattoo of the name Carl. My eyes widened in shock. "Are you posing as my brother?" He shook his head.
I am your brother.
"But," I started, "you didn't have the tattoos when you were little." He chuckled.
The Syara team shares a lot with the public, but obviously not everything. As you might know, I am the child of a god and an immortal. I gained the gift to morph into anything I want, but I was never fully trained. I remember hearing our mother with you. I wanted to morph into a piece of trash or something, but I only managed to transform into a toddler. After she was unable to find a DNA match for my parents, she managed to gain custody of me. Around 10 mortal years ago, the Syara team hid something for the public. While fighting Pantheria, she injured me badly in the head. She attempted to heal me, but the injuries were too severe and they left me permanently damaged. From that point on, a giant mouth, which was my most common transformation, was the only thing I could morph into. Luckily, Nicholas was 13 at the time. I was born with an annoying baby face, but in this instance, it helped.
I stayed silent for a while. There are a couple things still not adding up. I can see through some of God's disguises, so why wasn't I able to see through yours as an immortal? Also, the Carl that was described to me was, how do I put this lightly, an idiot? Nicholas is a genius. He clenched his fist and took a deep breath.
Like you, many cat humans forget that I'm still half god. Chances are the spell that hides the gods would work on me. You formerly being a demigod makes sense as to how you were able to see through the spell.
He smirked.
I believe the spell can decide whether to hide me or not, so no one, not even the gods, could see through the disguise. As for the stupidity, I presented myself that way. King and Kim would have never had the idea to betray Lypye if I didn't put that idea in their heads. I came up with a plan 9 mortal years ago to separate the Syara team and use you to distract Lypye. I told them where Lypye was. I told them about Kelly.
He walked up to me, coming only inches away from my face. "Why did you hesitate?" I asked. He raised his eyebrows in confusion. 9 years ago, you were supposed to go after me, not Kim. She mentioned that. Juaria and Hyena told me you hesitated. Why? I questioned.
King wasn't in charge.
He snapped. You wanted everyone to think he was. I crossed my arms. Carl, we're alone here. You can tell me the truth. He stared into my eyes, emotionless, for a very long time before slowly lowering his gaze. He sighed.
I hated you when you were little. As you grew older, you started to show a more compassionate side that I admired.
He grabbed my arm lightly, tugging on it to tell me to sit down. He and I sat down on the grass.
I knew from the start that Syara was Lypye, but I would have had to explain how I knew that, so I played it off like I didn't. I knew Lypye liked being friends with you, and as much as I resented Lypye for killing my father, I was glad the two of you were friends.
Why did you try to manipulate Lypye into leaving then? I asked. He took a deep breath.
If King found out where Lypye was, he would have targeted you. I was so pissed when Lypye didn't leave, so I told King where she was to prove a point. That plan backfired. King almost killed you. You were also angry and rebellious after Lypye left. I knew Lypye would come to help the Syara team. I asked the others to convince the Syara team that we didn't betray Lypye.
Did you intend for the plan to fail? I questioned.
Not at first. When I realized that Lypye had brought you into the fight, I wanted to abandon the plan. I had brought you into the light to show King that I had you. I was going to start pulling you away from the battle, and have Lypye chase us, but you're a fighter. When you ran, I was sent after you, but I hesitated. That one moment was a mistake I still regret. When Pantheria was fighting me, all I could think of was saving you. I bit her several times to slow her down, but she knocked me out. I've always had a vendetta against the 4 younger royal children for hiding the truth behind my father's death from me, but I earned a new respect for Lypye that day.
Explain why you told them about my pregnancy, I pushed.
The gods call us evil, but were willing to take the life of an infant out of fear. King and Kim weren't going to hurt the child. You died. I had planned to take the child and go into hiding to raise it myself. My anger got the best of me. I bid Juwaria to make Hyena suffer. He was going to be responsible for your death. I got knocked out. I woke up in handcuffs that I eventually broke out of. My guess is that Hyena chose to save Juwaria rather than arrest me. When I got a call from Lypye saying that she needed to know the father, I refused to say. What made me crack was hearing that you were unconscious in the Godworld hospital.
Why? I asked softly.
It clicked in my mind that Pantheria could save you.
He admitted. He sighed. You seem like you have more to say. He stayed silent for a while.
I love you. You're like a sister to me. I guess we are siblings and have been for 20 years. I want to be equal like the other immortals, but I unfortunately still have a heart.
Like Lypye when I first met her, I whispered. He looked at me, irritated.
Sure, baby. Look, I don't want anything to happen to you. At the same time, I'm giving you a warning. If you lose control and let your powers control you, if I find out you plan to break the supermodels out, I will not hesitate to tell any member of the Syara team about you.
I crossed my arms, like they'd believe you.
After the fight at your work, I guarantee you that you're high on Thunderia's suspect list.
He put his gloves on and stood up.
I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just want to open your eyes.
Could I swallowed hard, ask why you hate the members of the royal family? Well, besides Pantheria.
Evie is manipulative, Juwaria is perfect, Hyena's a traitor, and Queen Hina is a liar. I don't have anything against King Tygon.
I tried choosing my next words carefully, standing up. Lypye, yeah, but she's gotten better. She can be very controlling at times, but I guess being a leader for 10,000 years could give you that complex. Juwaria hates that she has to constantly be perfect. She wants to just be herself, but doesn't want to disappoint her mom. I'm not on the best terms with Hyena, but I can admit that Hyena betrayed your team to better himself. Queen Hina, what do you mean she's a liar? He shook his head.
Forget I say anything about her. I don't want to talk about it.
Have you attempted to talk to any of them? I questioned.
Would they listen?
He threw back. Maybe Juwaria, I suggested. He sighed.
I chose my path.
Lypye thought she did too, but
I'm not like Lypye.
he yelled. Lowering his voice, he continued.
I don't know what I am. I know the immortal in me means that I'm equal.
That's only true if you believe it's true. Caro, I don't know what you really want, but never let anyone tell you who or what you are. If you want to make amends, try talking to Juwaria, I told him.
Is that why you don't see your actions as evil?
He asked,
Even though everyone is telling you what you're doing is bad, you don't see it that way.
He pointed out.
Is it because you don't believe what everyone is telling you?
Everyone said Lypye was evil. Look at her now. Everyone said you're evil. You just admitted that most of your actions over the past 9 years was to protect me. Everyone says the supermodels are evil. I'm not going to let them out, but I hope you see where I'm coming from. He stared at the ground.
Don't do anything reckless. That's all I ask. Oh, and maybe try to talk to Lypye and Kelly sometime.
He backed a few steps away before turning and running. At this point, I had begun to question my judgment. I just wasn't going to admit that to anyone.